Hello everybody, welcome back, and today I thought we'd take a jump back into the past about 1.5 years ago to check out the first trailers for Battlefield 2042, see how the game has changed from then, and see if we actually got the product that we were advertised. Because I see a lot around the internet of people saying that we were kind of misled in the trailers. I personally don't agree fully with that, but we're going to actually have a look at these trailers and see where the game stands now and what the product we actually got was. So we're going to start with this one, which is the official reveal trailer. I was sitting there on reveal day, this on the TV, awaiting the countdown. So let's jump straight into it, because this one brings back a lot of memories, so let's go for it. It's been a while since I watched it though. Constant source of dopamine, this trailer is. Old Breakaway. So this is actually quite interesting. This area, and I'm going to be pausing a bit during this, so I apologize. That you can actually do in the game. It's quite hard to get the angle, and you can't do it in Conquest anymore, but you can do it in Hazard Zone. But the problem is you can't get condors in Hazard Zone, and why I say you can do it in Hazard Zone is because you get the full layout of the map, whereas in Conquest, and in Breakthrough, and in all other modes, I think unless you go into Portal and access the whole map, you can't actually do this because you can't reach that area. It's no longer an objective. That used to be E1, but on New Breakaway, for new players, you won't be able to visit this. But technically, you can do this. That is a thing that is possible with the destruction in the game. So, accurate so far. Of course, we've got all of the AI soldiers along with Sundance. That skin actually isn't in the game. It is the Tier 1 skin, and it's colored red. But we never got this variant of it. Yeah, I mean, splattering vehicles, that's accurate, that's a thing. I mean, it's such a solid opening. I remember being so hyped when I first saw that. Old Kaleidoscope. And the Robo-Dog, as a call-in, just like it is in-game. And over to Discarded. Now, interestingly, if we bring it back a couple of frames, I think, is that 4 or 5 tanks in screen at one time? I don't think that's possible now. You can't get that many T-28s. I'm not sure if you could at launch, to be honest. I know it's all just for general show purposes, but it's interesting to see how, you know, the balance is reflected through the trailers. But I don't think that's possible. But, I mean, this version of Manifest was saying goodbye to in a couple of days. So, interesting to see it here. And there goes the big door side. Surely they'll keep that in the new version. I can't see them removing that. God, the transitions were so good. Now, we're on Manifest, and I don't think it's that dark on Manifest in terms of lighting. It might be a bit better now, but in terms of like darkness and moodiness, but I don't think it was ever this dark in certain areas that you needed to use a flashlight. Obviously, that's a good thing for gameplay for everyone, but interesting to see, you know, how thematically they changed it a bit to give that suspense. And there we are. With the vet skin or the jet skin even, was it, for McGay? And our first look at takedowns, although we didn't know it at the time. Now that's an important part I want to pause at, because this whole explosion, I don't think you can get an explosion this size in the game. Apart from maybe the one that was the Easter egg on Spearhead, but that's gone now. You can no longer do that. Maybe the massive oil, I think that oil containers on Breakaway now might be able to replicate something almost as big as this. And the orbital rocket, I would say, might match this. But on Manifest, you can't do this. Which is kind of disappointing, but it is in the game, technically. So, let's continue. And God, Breakaway was so stunning when we first saw it. Obviously, big open fields. Glad the rework changed it. And the penguins. And yeah, okay, first look at Orbital as a map in this trailer. And I mean, there's no cover or anything on that main runway in this version of the map, the original one. It was still my favorite map in the game at the time. It still is, I would say. But yeah, mad looking at Orbital like that. With a load of players, as you'll see. On the main runway, just shooting at each other. Very odd. But of course, this event is still in the game. It still takes off. It still explodes. Nothing wrong with it there. Now, Hourglass, I mean, this is completely untouched at the minute. That's going to be coming in Season 5. So, and 2 attack helicopters on one team. That is accurate for this map, I think. even now with the balance changing. What a moment. What a stupid Battlefield moment. I love it. And our first look at Falk, I think, in this trailer. Interestingly, you'll see that the model for the pilot here is, you know, a pilot model, and it was in the beta, I think. That might have been changed for the full release, but at least at this point, when we played the game for the first time in the beta, if you spawned in a vehicle, you had that skin until you bailed out, I think. And then after that, it got changed to whatever specialist you were. So, interesting to see how that got kind of reworked a little bit. I think this pilot skin now is available for Casper in Season 1's Battle Pass, but it's coloured blue and a little differently, but I do own that one. But yeah, that's kind of how that got repurposed. Interestingly, they have the Jeep on the roof. You couldn't probably call in a Jeep, or you can't call in a Jeep. A Jeep, a quad bike, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you'd have to drive it into an elevator to get up there, but I guess that technically is possible. Over Kaleidoscope, very, very high. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get this high over Kaleidoscope. So this kind of dogfighting at this altitude is, you know, it's a possible thing. And of course, the Render Zook is a possible thing as well, as we've seen many, many times since the game launched. Nice, what a moment. This is where we first got to see kind of all the specialists together, because we've got, you know, Rao and Pike, and a bit of and the Jets as well. But yeah, I mean, it's our first look at the Tornado. I had, you know, some inclination about the natural disaster stuff in the game because of the leaks, but seeing this for the first time was amazing too, to be fair. I'm not sure if, I think that's a route it can take still, the Tornado, although the Tornado is a lot thinner in the full game than that, I think, on Kaleidoscope. You get the very thin variant on Kaleidoscope. The bigger ones at Hourglass, I think, has the biggest. It's huge. But we'll get onto that in the next trailer. Orbital has quite a big one as well. But yeah, no, Kaleidoscopes was definitely the smallest Tornado. Interestingly, I think it's got the normal size here. But obviously, it's just for show. That sign also can come down in the game. You can bring that down. And this is possible as well. I mean, being brought up in the tuk-tuk and bailing out at Sundance. Very possible. Man. Nuts. And then we got our title reveal for the first time, because I don't think we knew what the title was going to be. But yeah, there we are. But yeah, man, what a trailer with the Kickstart My Heart 2-way remix. Okay, next up, here we go with our pre-alpha gameplay trailer, which was shown off at the Xbox showcase. Remember sitting through about an hour of other stuff waiting for the Battlefield 1. And this one, interestingly, had Hourglass as the main focus, and I'm sure that's just to promote its scale. Obviously now, Hourglass is the worst map by far. But I think that's a look at the PBX right there, possibly. I've got my camera here. Yeah, PBX. Which is interesting, because it looks more like an assault rifle here, where it is an SMG. It is a longer range SMG, probably the best for range in the game. And I look at all of the vehicles on display. But it's interesting to see, you know, what routes they thought people were going to take and what they were emphasizing in the map design itself here. And our first look at the grappling hook, the UI is very different. I mean, UI all over the board here is very different. And our first look at takedowns in-game, and the Sandstorm. I mean, I still stop to look at the Sandstorm whenever it comes in, to be honest. It's something that still wows me. But yeah, seeing that in the trailer for the first time was nuts. I really hope they keep it for the remake. And the cooling system with tanks. Now, there we have another big explosion like the ones we see on Breakaway now, but that isn't possible on Hourglass in the current build. Maybe it will in the rework. They can introduce some more explosives, but you can't produce an explosion of that size on Hourglass in the game. You never could. So it's interesting. Maybe this was in the pre-alpha build. There was something that caused an explosion this big, but as of now, not possible. But yeah, there's a big focus on the city here, when really it's not that big a part of the map. There are 3 objectives there, but they're all quite close together. And while I do enjoy that, it's probably my favorite part of the map. This whole city aspect, yeah, it's kind of not oversold, but it's emphasized a lot more when there's other parts of the maps that are just as big. And of course, the massive tornado, which is that size in the game. It's the biggest tornado in the game. And I first look at the plus menu, which still works similarly. Obviously, different controls on console now, but yeah. Another takedown. And this is all possible with the C5 Jeep. Interesting, we get a look at a Hind in a minute. There it is. And it is shredding infantry just like it does now. We are getting a nerf for that next week in terms of health, but yeah. The trace is looking very nice though. And our first look at gameplay Sundance, and this really had the community divided a little bit because it was third person. I don't think it was common knowledge that takedowns would be third person as well, but there we have it. And yeah, the tornado can pick up objects like this. I think it had a power buff recently as well. I say recently, it was a while ago now, but it feels recently. And the tornado can kind of pick up everything, no matter how big the vehicle is. Maybe tanks, it might not be able to, but I think it can with Wildcats, with Condors. But yeah, interesting to see it dragging the Condor along then. And there was our first look at all the other maps. And all of this, yeah, all of this is accurate. Nice. Orbital looks so much better now with the new lighting though. But, you know. Yeah, I'd say that one was pretty accurate as well, for sure. Next up we have the Portal trailer, so let's jump straight into this one. This one might be a little bit more interesting to see what they focused on here, because Portal is very underutilized in my opinion. I'm sure you guys share that opinion as well. So let's have a look. Well, we still have the old arsenal of weapons, and little did we know then, these were going to be ported into All Out Warfare as well weapons, so that's kind of an interesting angle to have. I still love this trailer. Obviously all the maps shown off, and you can have 128 players, so this massive team is accurate. All of the vehicles recreated, a lot of Caspian, showing off all the maps. Now I want to pause here, because that is no longer in the game. That little charm on the side of the grenade. It is there, but it's a different smiley face, because apparently that one's copyrighted. So I guess there's a discrepancy there, but I mean the tiniest thing, but it is quite interesting that that massive, you know, iconography of Bad Company is no longer, you know, a thing. And the massive scale battles, you do see these on World War II servers. You really do. Yep, the deep in focus. Interestingly, I don't think we might have done. I don't want to, you know, undersell, because we might have had this, but you can see that these are World War II soldiers on Arica Harbor, and I'm not sure if I ever saw that as an official mode. We might have done, off the top of my head. I can't really remember, and that kind of tells you that we need one again. We need more emphasis, because that's such a cool like aesthetic having those soldiers in these maps. The EOD bot, which works kind of now. I mean, it's still a little bit janky. And dogfights between jets, very much possible. We've had those before. And the Tracer Dart, now in All Out Warfare, of course. We have had a lot of Battlefield 3 on new maps, though. I did enjoy that. I made a video on that way back when they first put that in rotation. Playing on the 2042 maps with Battlefield 3 factions and vehicles. That was a lot of fun. Knives versus defibs, we've also had this once. So much fun. That's in one of the videos way back when as well. Melee was still a little bit janky then with inputs, so it was slightly annoying, but the actual mode itself was really fun. We never saw anything like this, and I want to bring up one of the first showcases of Portal we were shown as well, which was EOD bots versus the tank. And I'm not sure who made that experience, but it was shown off the first time Portal was alongside this trailer. We had a bunch of modes showcased off, and some of those we never saw in the game, and one of them was, yeah, EOD bots, a load of players locked into those versus one tank. But unfortunately that never came across, which is kind of depressing actually. And this is before, okay, perfect explosion pause. This is something that a lot of people were annoyed about, was that the vehicle launching was shown in the trailer, but in All Out Warfare you can't really do it. But you can do it in Portal. That physics is still there, and it was from day one, but you just can't do it in All Out Warfare. But yeah, you can do it in Portal technically, so that is accurate, even though a lot of people have complained that it's not. Drive over it.
No, I'm not.
3, 2, 1, go.
Where's that?
Oh my god!
I'm
300.
Where am I?
That type of physics interaction though, maybe not. I don't think in the game that would have enough force to maybe send the Condor over like that, but maybe we can mythbust it, who knows. The final one we're going to have a look at is Hazard Zone. Surprisingly, I like this mode a lot. I made a couple videos on it, but it does have its problems, but this is our first look at it. With old Manifest, of course, although it's kind of hard to tell from this distance. Those animations are in the game, with them landing. That's one of my favorite parts, is the impacts of the drives landing. Really cool. Realistically, there'd be bots all over this, and now there are bot tanks as well. So you wouldn't have this slow of a movement with a squad. You'd be shot at from bots from 100 meters away. But I mean, this type of team play is pretty pretty common in Hazard Zone. Man, their sound design is so good. Interesting there, you can see the old kill feed on the left side, and I think, yeah, it's a different UI for the amount of drives that everyone has, because now it's like a little drive symbol and it fills up, rather than just like a tally count out of 3. And yeah, it's common to see natural disasters. That was probably the shot that really got me hooked on Hazard Zone, that one. But as I was saying, yeah, it's very common to see tornadoes on Hazard Zone. They seem to spawn there more than your regular matches, which I'm completely fine with. They're very cool. But yeah, this shot right here was probably the one where I looked at it and I was like, that's cool. You know, I want to play this mode. Inside of Kaleidoscope there, I think. Yeah. I mean, it does represent the mode pretty well. Just like there is high stakes. You do get, you know, very tense situations of extracting. But interestingly, there they were extracting from the zone with the door open when the condor's taking off. That's not possible. It closes and then takes off. But you know, you gotta have it for the cinematics. So there we have it. We looked over basically all of the main cinematic trailers. There are a couple of other smaller specialist ones and everything in the map trailers. But I think I've kind of covered those with the maps we've seen. And overall, I mean, the game is represented pretty accurately, especially in the state it is now. Maybe not back then. There are a couple of, I mean, obviously the bugs. The bugs are a big thing. Not accurately represented here at launch, but, you know. But yeah, I would say most things are accurately represented, and we got the product that was sold. But yeah, thank you all for joining me on this little trip and having a look at the old trailers. If you've got any thoughts at all on the game and the state of it and how it's grown, leave them in the comments below. What's your favourite trailer out of all of these? Maybe it's the Portal one, maybe it's the official reveal. Let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.